you might think as you're growing older and your parents are a little ahead of you, oh, that's not something we'll need to deal with, or we don't need to deal with for a while, but I don't think you'd want to put this kind of thing off, would you?
You don't want to put it off, and I know Joel can talk about this. You don't want to put it off, and a lot of times I hate to hear of situations where people, they end up in a bad situation and need something and had not already done it.
Exactly. The worst thing that you can do is nothing, because then not only is it the problem is when you don't do anything, then the state starts planning for you. The state starts telling you where your assets go after you pass away. The state starts telling you who's in charge of your things while you're still alive if you're not able to make decisions for yourself. The state starts telling you what they will or won't pay for in terms of nursing home care. So you know, we don't want everybody else to make our decisions for us. We'd like for ourselves to make our own decisions, and the best way to do that is to plan, is to go ahead and get out front of things and make a plan ahead of time.
Sometimes you might think it's awkward to go to your parent and say, hey, we need to talk about the future. You might think, well, they're going to think I'm out to get their stuff and all, but someone needs to bring it up. I've been fortunate with my 88-year-old father. He brought it up and said, we need a power of attorney. I don't even want to mess with this stuff anymore. Will you do that for me? And that made it so much easier.
Sure, sure. Again, the planning ahead gets rid of all of those issues, because it allows that person to make their own decisions, and quite honestly, it lets the rest of the family know what those decisions were ahead of time. So there's no arguing about what mom or dad wanted or grandpa or grandma wanted. It's laid out there for them.
And that's one thing that I tell people, especially like of end-of-life decisions for someone. Most people do not want to think about those, but if you will go ahead and do that and make those decisions, you keep those decisions from, you keep your family from having to make those decisions.
Exactly right.
And it doesn't take much time to do this stuff we're going to talk about either.
No. A lot of the things that we're going to be talking about are going to be very simple matters. They're things that can be addressed fairly quickly, fairly inexpensively. And it's like, you know, I don't know if Blake's old enough to remember the old Fram oil filter commercial about you can pay a little bit now or you can pay a lot later on when the engine blows up, right? All right. It's kind of like that in this area. You can pay a little bit now and get things planned and organized, and it saves a lot of heartache and money later on by doing that.
For people that aren't your family members, when they come to an attorney like you and say, and I'm going to ask you for some ballpark numbers.
Sure.
Hey, my parents wanted me to have power of attorney. It's pretty simple. They're going to give me total power to do whatever their wishes are, and I need that done for me legally. Right. That's not a very expensive thing, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. And usually there's kind of a, if you will, a package of things that we typically talk about when somebody comes in to talk about their estate plan. We generally will talk about their will. We'll generally talk about a power of attorney, and we'll generally talk about an advance directive for health care. Most people refer to them as living wills, about end-of-life decision making. And those are you know, for lack of a better term, there's sort of a package of three things that we typically talk about together. Now, there's other things that we can do, like trusts and things like that, but those are a little more complicated. They cost a little more to do, but those are, you know, for the normal, common, everyday person, the simple things of a will, a power of attorney, and a medical directive are very, very simple, very easy to do, and not very expensive, especially in the grand scheme of things of what it's going to cost later on if they don't do them.